Hey guys, so if you didn't know, the demo for Forspoken dropped for PlayStation during the Game Awards. Side note, I just want to say thank fucking God Miyazaki took home the dub, because me and the boys would have been rioting in the streets. It really wasn't even a question in my mind. FromSoft is so far beyond any of these other studios. It's fucking incredible, so shout out to them. Anyway, so I, as well as I'm sure most of you, have played the Forspoken demo, and I wanted to give my impression of what I played. But if you haven't played it yourself, the runtime is about 45 minutes, and I encourage you, if you are at all considering pre-ordering the game, to go and try it for yourself. I think it gives a pretty good indication of where the game's going, and I think it'll probably save most of you $70, especially if you were on the fence. So let's check out the opening cinematic.
Frey Holland, daydreamer, cat lover, New Yorker. On a fateful evening, her life changed drastically when she was mysteriously transported to the beautiful, treacherous land of Athia. Frey arrives with a magical, sentient bracelet inexplicably wrapped around her arm, then discovers she can cast powerful spells and use magic to swiftly traverse the sprawling landscapes. The last remnants of Athia's populace soon look to Frey as their only hope for confronting the Tamtas, once benevolent matriarchs who now rule as maddened and evil sorceresses. Reluctant to help, but desperate to find a way back home, Frey sets off on a journey through this strange and dangerous land.
So right off the bat, based off the tone and everything, I don't know about you, but these characters feel extremely unlikable. I don't hate the premise. I think any premise for the most part can be done well, but the dialogue throughout the demo is so cringy between your cuff sounding bored as fuck and this snarky ass protagonist. Neither of them seem to say anything interesting, and they both talk way too much. Now, I'm a huge fan of JRPGs, so I have a pretty high threshold for cringy dialogue, but I don't know. I think for some reason, whether it's the context or the style of the game, it just doesn't feel right here, and it's too much. And speaking of not feeling right, the combat here is just so blah. Like, all you do is either press or hold the right trigger for attack, and then same for the left trigger for support spells. But all the enemies seem to feel more like cannon fodder, so really I'm just sitting here spamming the right trigger without any strategy. There's a style meter on the top right, and it feels fluid enough with some cool particle effects, but all in all, it didn't grab me enough to make me think, yeah, I could do 20 to 40 hours of this, or however long the game's gonna be. On a positive note though, I will say that the one-on-one encounters, that the combat was actually way more engaging to me. Both the boss and the mini-boss were actually kind of fun, so there's that. Next, let's talk about the taste of side missions that we got in the demo. So there were like 5 side quests altogether. 2 of them were really just collecting an item. 1 was a cloak, if I remember right. 1 of them was to go get an upgrade, and the other was to like jump in a fountain, I think. I don't really remember, which is sad because I just played the game last night, but anyways. And then there was like a timed mission where you basically protected 5 townspeople while they sat in the corner and you guarded them against these hordes of enemies. And if that's any indication as what to expect in Athia, I'd rather blow my brains out. It was monotonous, uninteresting, and ultimately a huge waste of time, which if you've seen any of my past videos, you know my biggest complaint with the industry is this time-wasting bullshit and these tactics. It seems like Square Enix ripped a ton of pages out of the books of Western design, and I just could not be less interested after the demo. I mean, look at these photo missions. You can't even free aim in them. You have to move the camera to exactly where they want you to take a picture of what? A fucking rock? Jesus Christ. Also, side note, the contrast seems to be really bad in this game, which of course can be fixed. But I could go on and on shitting on this game, but we're gonna move on. If it's not obvious, this is going to be a pass easily for me, and my wallet will be thanking me for it. Next, I want to talk about another demo that got released called Bramble The Mountain King. And before this demo, I had never heard of this game, and while I do think it needs some work, I'm actually really excited about it. So let's watch the beginning together, and I'm gonna mute the audio because it has a copyright claim on it. So.
Olle was comforted by the morning sun. He had survived the night, but just barely. At least he had found the stone again. And it felt like it was his sister's way of telling him he was on the right path.
So after playing the demo, I can definitely tell it was heavily inspired by Playdead's and Tarsier Studios games, which of course made games like Limbo and Little Nightmares respectively. But Bramble is fully 3D and also has a more photorealistic background. Guys, this game is fucking beautiful. And the whole premise of it being based off Nordic fairy tales could really bring some cool experiences, and I'm so excited to see more. I especially love after going through the traumatic experience that is the first creature, you're able to read about his specific fairy tale and what made him into the monster he is. It's really intriguing and the voiceover is done really well too. It's not all perfect though. The game clearly needs some work. The main character honestly looks so out of place to the beautiful environments around him. I really hope they can find a better middle ground for it. And the transitions from gameplay to cutscenes were pretty bad. They need to be smoother so they aren't so jarring. And last complaint, there is a part where you're floating down a river at the end of the demo, and it was pretty awful. And my suggestion, if they aren't able to make that better for the player, make it just into a cutscene. You know, that's fine. But altogether, I'm really hopeful for this game, and I know that it's going to be something unique, so I think it's something we should all look out for. Anyways, I know there were some more demos that dropped for the Game Awards, but I didn't play them all yet. Tell me what you think of what you played. I mean, even if it's telling me how big of a piece of shit I am because Square Enix can't do no wrong, I don't care. I'd love to hear it. So give me your guys' thoughts below. Thanks for watching as always. Let's get gritty.